to gather facts for my next report to the Human Rights Council, which is due in January. It will be presented to the Council in March. And like Ahmed said, there will be a debate on this subject, on the report. And my hope always is that the report will raise important issues for you and the Iranians back home, and that the government will attempt to address the issues raised, and hopefully will make some positive changes. In a general sense, of course, the results are not so optimistic because obviously things haven't changed dramatically in Iran for the past few years. However, there are important changes that do take place as a result of the reports that we present. And beyond that, many tell me from Iran that when a report is published, when an issue is raised, when a person's name is mentioned in a report, when the name is then therefore mentioned in the media as well, that person feels safer if the person is in prison, feels safer even if the person may not yet be in prison, and the families of the persons affected also feel safer in terms of what may happen to that person. So there is value in the work we do. Now, tonight I would spend most of the time responding to questions you may raise, because I don't want to go on a general picture of Iran because you know it quite well. You know quite well what's happening in your country. But let me focus my comments on two aspects: on my methods of work, that is one, and on my interactions with the government of Iran, which you may not be so aware of. Iran says my reports are biased, my reports are not fact-based, that my reports are the result of false stories fed to me by Iranians living outside the country or those inside the country. I say no, because my reports are based only partly on what people tell me. And even when people tell me, say, 10 stories, I may not believe even one of these stories because I have to verify what's been told to me. I respect everybody's comments to me, but I have to be sure that what I am reporting in my reports are actually corroborated by other evidence. It actually happened and really is not based on false stories or other politically desired accounts of what should be happening in the country. So I apply certain tests to verify that the information that I present in my reports actually is correct. The second is I rely on a lot of what the government of Iran actually publishes. You do know, government of Iran does produce a lot of information about its own activities. For example, information on executions often picked from official media or official accounts. Government announces a lot of the executions. So they aren't hiding much in this regard. So it's not really based on figures I am adding up, but based on what I can read in official accounts and in the press, and to see if there was verification in that. And there are many Iranians, human rights defenders living in and out of the country who are documenting these. And you can follow the trail of documentation to assess the accuracy of these statements. The second is their own government publications. Reports to the UN, reports to their own committees, their government budget. The budget, of course, is an Iranian government document. The debates in parliament, I visit their websites of the parliament and see what bills are there. So this is not hearsay based on what people tell me. This is official documentation that the government of Iran has its own stamp on it. So you can't dispute these allegations, these statements. So my reports are essentially fact-based. However, I call them alleged comments because if anyone tells me that something happened to that person, even if that is entirely true and I believe it, I must still say it's an allegation. That is a way of reporting it. Unless it is proved in a court of law, that would be an allegation made by somebody about a violation of their rights. So the language of these reports come in this fashion, but that is not to say that the information there isn't reliable. I write these reports which you read and you see being debated in the country. But beyond that, I also write a number of letters to the government of Iran. I've sent about 30 letters the past 12 months, raising concern about a number of individuals in prison, about their what I believe to be false arrests maybe, about torture allegations maybe, or about their medical condition where they may be failing health and isn't receiving proper medical care that they require. So a number of these letters I sent to the government of Iran, many are co-signed by other rapporteurs, rapporteur on torture, rapporteur on some executions, rapporteur on minorities. Many of them co-sign my letters to the government of Iran because it gives them a bigger force, because there are many writing on this subject. Beyond that, I can issue also what are called urgent appeals, which I do when I believe there is someone who is in imminent danger of a rights violation. An execution, for example, somebody is going to be executed. If I believe it to be the case, then I will write there if I believe that that will make a difference in how the government conducts. Finally, I can also make press statements. I am the most prolific user of the UN's media platform. I understand nobody else comes anywhere near the amount of press statements I make. I don't like to do that. I do it because there is no choice. I go to the press as a last resort. I would like to talk to the government directly without anybody listening to what I'm saying to them. But if they don't respond to me or don't do the right things, then I have to go to the next step, which often includes going to the press and let people know what is going on. Because I do believe for human rights to be defended, there is a role for Iranian people, Iranian society. They must know what is going on. So I go with these press statements. So this is how I work. And when my reports are done, I send a draft to the government of Iran for them to comment, and they do comment. In fact, they write a counter report. They write a report of as much length, if not more, and then ask me to incorporate them in my report. But that's the way we work. I'm in my 4th year of the mandate. I do believe when debates are held, there are occasional government steps back. For example, I understand Iranian government is now reviewing death penalty for drug cases, and although I'm not sure what exactly they will do with this, but the fact that they agree they must review this is an important, I think, development that is linked to the work. Finally, to conclude, I want to say that my disappointing assessment is that things in Iran have not improved under President Rouhani. There have been a few things one can point to, such as some students being allowed to come back to university, some professors being to come back to faculties, but by and large, the trends have been more disappointing. In death penalty, there's been a surge in executions and expansion of the range of offenses for which death penalty is provided for in the country. So there is an overall worsening of the situation in the country, including women's situation. The acid attacks in Isfahan is a good example of this. So I remain very concerned about what's happening in the country, but more than that, I want to spend this evening to listen to you, to hear your questions and queries, and to pick up any information that you may be able to give me, which you think will be useful to help restore somebody's human rights in full. Thank you very much.
تأثیر دارن. فعالیت مطبوعاتی ایشون خیلی بالاست. یکی از فعالترین افراد در سیستم UN هستند در زمینه مطبوعات. این چیزی نیست که ایشون ازش راضی هست برای اینکه از مطبوعات به عنوان آخرین امکان استفاده می‌کنند. در ضمن مقامات ایرانی هم در جواب پاسخ به گزارش ایشون گزارشی می‌نویسند که ایشون باید در موردش در واقع پاسخگو باشه. چیزی که ایشون رو در واقع از همه بیشتر نگران کرده و شاید ناامید کرده اینه که وضعیت حقوق بشر در دوران آقای روحانی بهتر نشده و در بعضی موارد حتی بدتر هم شده، از جمله در موارد اعدام، موارد زنان و این آخرین صحبتی بود که ایشون کردن، ولی گفتن که ما حالا خیلی مشتاق هستم که حرفهای شما رو گوش کنم.